Hello ratbags, it's Jade, welcome to the Survival Show. What we've got going on today, well there's been a massive amount of stuff going on this week. Huge updates for your favourite games, so a quick brief rundown of what's occurred and what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Slight adjustment for the show, I'm definitely going to guarantee every Friday now you get the Survival Show. I have been doing one or two sometimes, and then sometimes it's only one, and it's always different days. So every Friday from now on, in the evening time, you get the Survival Show. I'm still going to be covering all the other big news during the week if it does break, but I am going to start delving into some other little bits and bobs I want to do, and spend a bit more time actually playing all these survival games. Let's crack on though with all the survival news, including No Man's Sky Origins. A brand new update is coming, and it could be the start of something pretty big for No Man's Sky for the rest of the year. We've got a more thorough explanation about why Conan Exiles' brand new Siptah DLC hasn't appeared on Xbox and PlayStation yet. Ark Survival Evolved TLC free info. You saw the mammoth announced last week as being one of the creatures getting a makeover, but what else is going to be coming? The community crunch launches later on, so I'm hopeful we're going to see some more teasers or info about what's next and what's incoming in a couple months. What potentially could be in the next grounded update, and are we going to be getting it next week? Plus a new game, Salt 2, how is progress going on this open world pirating game? Also looks like Drake Hollow will be coming out very soon, hopefully on Steam. It's been on Xbox a while now, I've been really enjoying it, but it does look like it might be getting a Steam release very soon. And The Long Dark has made its way to the Nintendo Switch. This got a stealth launch, we knew it was happening, but didn't know the release date. It got spoken of during the Nintendo Direct and it went live yesterday. Last Oasis continues its weekly update content with its new bomb update, and Medieval Dynasty launched yesterday. Really enjoying it, and they've got a roadmap already. So let's dive into all of that. Let's go, it's the Survival Show. No Man's Sky, yes, that game as absolutely the blueprint for keeping your game alive. So many other of its survival competitors should take note. Not one single bit of MTX, not one single bit of DLC, no paid content, but just constant updates. It feels pretty boring having to reference it every time, but you're always going to get the people that will bring up the fact the game launched in such a terrible state. But like nearly 4 years on, I think the game deserves some more praise than it gets. Easily one of the best games as a live service supported. They've had 4 updates in the last 7 months alone, and each one of these, while smaller than some of maybe the other ones they've had, have added extra content for players to get their teeth into. Imagine if Ark Survival Evolved did something like this. Imagine if Conan had kept up its promises of content every quarter. This is what games, especially survival games with servers, with actual players, should all be working towards. Instead of like AAA DLC once every year. I wouldn't even mind if No Man's Sky did start selling lots more cosmetics at this point. But anyway, the point is today, Origins is coming. Now on the blog with it, they've pretty much stated that Foundation way back when wasn't the world's biggest update, but it did start the ball rolling for everything that came after. And it seems like Origins is also going to be the same sort of situation. Rather than being something like Desolation where they added the ghost ships or the exosuit or the living ships, it does look like Origins is going to be a bit more chunkier and meatier. Or at the very least it's going to set in motion a whole series of bigger updates. I don't know if there's too much to gain from looking at the art other than what appears to be some strange fauna or creatures, but I'm not going to lie, I don't know if they're even in the game already. Sean Murray was teasing about having the sandworm back in the game. Famously it was showed off in the trailers, a giant massive worm, but it got removed or was never really appeared. But with the recent June movie trailer showing a massive great big sandworm, he was tweeting or kind of teasing that the worm looked cool. So yeah, we're going to have this update next week. No other information has been given, but expect big things. Even if it ends up not being a huge update next week, I think it's going to signal the big start of fresh new content over the next 6 months or so. Some of you guys might have been worried that No Man's Sky have kind of moving on to their other stuff. They recently had their last campfire game come out, and they have spoken a little bit how they've started to work on their next big project. But from all accounts, only half the team are working on that, while the rest of the team are still all working on No Man's Sky. And so they're promising to continue to support this game for another year at least. So good stuff. I think I will dive back into No Man's Sky very soon. I want to catch up with some of this stuff that I kind of missed out on. I haven't really played it properly since the Beyond update came out. So for sure, I definitely want to dive back in and check out all the new stuff and see what's going on next week. Ark Survival Evolved have moved their community crunches to Friday. It's pretty much the only chance we get any sort of information. They've not been great at giving any info in the last few months, so I've really not kept on it on my radar, as it's often just some fan art, which is great, but we want to hear some news about development, what's happening. Well, last Friday, pretty much after I'd posted my survival show for the week, they came out with, of course, the brand new Mammoth TLC announcement. They've said in the past that they're going to be updating 2 creatures only in the upcoming TLC 3. I'm really hoping that's changed. I really do hope they've added more to it. But the Mammoth is definitely one of them 2 creatures. It looks great. It looks cool. Definitely looks a little bit more scarier. And I'm hazard to say it definitely looks a lot bigger. The saddles look great as well. And it does look like there's going to be some sort of little mini platform on them. And that'll be the first time one of these creatures has so. And for sure, it looks like they're taking a lot of inspiration from one of their modders' work. Echo Mods has been doing saddles for years now. One thing Wildcard have always been good at is getting the community from modders involved and making content based off of it, or just including that content as part of their sponsorship program. Anywho, it's good stuff, and I'm hoping we're going to see an announcement maybe of what else is going to be coming for TLC 3 tonight. And if it's substantial enough, I will do a separate video covering it all. Also, in the last week, they have been ramping up their live service stuff, taking care of lots of cheaters and working on server reliability. So a small thing, but a big improvement on some of the community crunches that have gone on before. Do remember TLC 3 is meant to be launching at some point this winter time, and the actual next paid expansion, Genesis Part 2, won't be coming out until March next year. A few years ago there was a game called Salt that came out, and it was a bit of an open world pirate game. It was very basic because the character models were pretty simple. They reminded me a lot of something like Roblox, so it probably went under people's radars quite a bit. But the developers Lava Boot Studios have been working on Salt 2. And I've got to say, yes, people will compare it to Sea of Thieves because apparently it's the only pirate game that's ever or will ever exist. But it does look pretty nice. If this is going to be more of an open world crafting sort of game, I am all down for more pirate action. And that's their intention with Salt 2. It does look like you're going to be much more bigger open world, much better, more realistic graphics in some ways, but still have that little bit of an artistic style to them as you explore, as you craft, gather, and I'm guessing take on other pirates. Who knows if it's actually going to be a proper online affair, I'm not too sure, but it is going to be definitely me, the start, looking into this a little bit more and gathering and gaining some more info. Just look at that water, how gorgeous it is. So yeah, Salt 2, keep on your radar. Medieval Dynasty is now out for everyone to try on Steam in early access. You might have seen me do a let's play of it recently, and you know what, I'm having quite a bit of a fun time. Bit more of a chilled experience. There's not like loads going on. You're not being attacked by bandits and wolves every 2 seconds, although there are some dangers involved. But for sure, building up your little settlement as you go through the quest that they've got, gathering resources, is pretty decent. It looks pretty good as well. I'm pretty impressed with the overall environments. And yeah, for sure, you're going to be seeing a lot more content from me over the next week or so on it. They've already done some hotfixes and they've already released their roadmap for the rest of the year. Now, I say roadmap, it's pretty much just a one-page spread, but it does at least give you guys what to expect. They're going to have more events, challenges and fishing coming in the next couple of months, alongside riding and farming. Now, when I say riding, I really do hope that means we'll be able to actually ride some horses and not maybe just put the kids on the pigs. And it does look like they're going to get even more complicated with the farming, which is there already, but I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit more sophisticated. And then early 2021, they're also going to be having pottery, beekeeping, alcohol production, and bandits into the game. I am a bit disappointed that bandits aren't in there at the early access release. I definitely think the game's good, but it's definitely going to get a little bit repetitive if there's not anything else to spice things up. Overall, it's good to know what it's got coming in, and I guess expectations need to be in line with how much the game is and what kind of development studio it is, but I definitely would still like to see a lot more added in the next 6 months. Fingers crossed it takes off, gets a lot more support, and they may be able to put a bit more into it. It's fast approaching towards the end of the month, and Grounded, I'm sure, will be having their update next week at some point. What is it going to include? We're still not 100% sure, but looking at the features board, this is what they've said could come in the next couple months. We may possibly see the water update this month, but I don't think so. I think it'll probably be wanting to generate a bit more hype around that. It does seem like quite a major bit of content. So I'm going to go for more quest types this month. Definitely some of these smaller things like storage management improvements, possibly a new crafting station, and just general quality of life stuff. For sure, I want to see more of these things like the bees being added, more hedge environment upgrades and stuff like that. But judging by the last update that really didn't have enough content to sustain a lot of people, I definitely feel like we could be doing with a little bit more this month. I hope so anyway. I love playing Grounded, it's been great, but I can't sit here and play it every day when there's just not enough new things for me to do. But so far the devs have been a little bit quiet, not revealing or teasing anything just yet. I expect that to change maybe Monday starting next week, where hopefully we'll see a dev vlog talking about what's possibly coming. As ever though, I'll keep you guys in the loop. And until then, I'm probably going to be focused a lot more on doing build content and more mini games like I had with you guys the other day, where we had a lot of fun doing a little team deathmatch on my castle I built. You guys let me know what you want to see added in the next few months, and what do you think is going to happen at the end of this month. I'm expecting the update to drop around the 25th or the 26th. As part of a mini Nintendo Direct the other day, The Long Dark was stealth launched on Nintendo Switch. Now, we had been told this was coming. The creator of the game had said that they were working on it a good few months ago, but it was still a big and nice surprise to see it actually dropping and landing so soon. It's got the full game experience that you come to expect from your either Xbox, PS4 or PC. They also added a brand new hybrid mix of live action and gameplay trailer. It looks pretty cool. I definitely want to dive back into this. Long Dark is one of my favourite survival games. Put it number 10 most recently in my top 30 console games, survival games you should play. So if you haven't played it, give it a shot. And for me now, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to my next 3-hour train ride so I can dive back into the cold, chilly Canadian wilderness. It does look pretty good. I'm guessing this is all just gameplay from the Switch. Obviously, it's not the most taxing or super realistic game, so they probably don't have to worry as much about draw distances, and I think they can pretty much get away with the Switch's limited power and capabilities a bit more than other games like Ark or maybe upcoming Subnautica will. So for sure, yeah, I want to give this a try, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I get hold of a copy what it's like. So Drake Hollow, it launched on the Xbox, but they said that it weren't going to be coming to Steam for a few more weeks. Well, that was a good few weeks ago now, but it does look like it is going to be approaching. It's in certification right now on Steam. That's what they've said in Discord from the creative director himself. You should go and check out the podcast we did together on launch day for Xbox to see more info about Drake Hollow. Great little game, crafting, looking after these drakes while you fight off these Stranger Thing monsters and building up your camp and protecting it. Lots of exploration and it's procedure generated, and they're also going to be updating it soon with an endless mode. So yeah, I'll keep you guys in a loop, but I'm going to predict it'll probably come out next week for Steam. So of course, the Isle of Siptah launch this week. Big things for Conan Exiles fans on PC. Xbox, PlayStation, you are going to be waiting at least 4 months until you see it release. It is in early access and I have done some content on it, but it has killed the hype for me, and that's why you've not seen as much. I just didn't want to put all my time and effort into something if it's not going to be enjoyed by a lot of my ratbags who are console fans. As you would expect though, a major expansion has proved popular with the Conan Exiles player base. They've also had like free updates or free weekends and a huge sale as well, and it's propelled their current player count to one of its highest in a couple of years. 25,700 players have been currently playing it as of yesterday. While it's got a bit of a way to go before it matches the heights of full release back in May 2018, it's certainly the most popular time they've had since then. My initial impressions have been that yes, the game mechanics are pretty cool, but there is a lot of reused content here, which you kind of would expect with DLC, but it would be nice to see some more new additions, particularly in the way that some of the animals move and you interact with them. But for sure, the creatures that you find in the Maelstrom are scary as hell. The design job on them is fantastic, and I really like the way it's more focused towards PvP, as I feel they haven't maybe got given as much love in the last couple of years, as Funcom focused more on PV aspects. Now, I was pretty critical in a few videos and in the actual private beta Discord, and as if answer to my criticisms, they have actually penned a letter for console fans and PC players of what to expect from Siptah in the coming weeks. And there's some good info here in this letter, basically saying that they chose early access because it works so well for the Exiled Lands content and they really wanted to get feedback, and that the second reason was that it just wasn't ready for the Xbox and PlayStation consoles. The pandemic and the work from home situation, they weren't able to give out some of the test dev kits, and particularly the way that the consoles are changing their certification process in preparation for Xbox X and obviously the PS5 also added to the problems and issues in getting it out on console in time. I really hope early access does work out well, and that once it does roll out to consoles there won't be any issues or problems, not that you'd come to expect from quite a big expensive DLC. Fingers crossed it will be very early in 2021. On top of that though, they've got big changes incoming. They're going to be changing up the economy and crafting systems. For love of God, please fix the chests. How can you have a game 4 years on still having problems in getting loot from chests? That's my major gripe recently, going exploring some of them. They've also said they're going to make the wild surges a bit more friendlier for solo players. And surprising, this is big news to me, they're going to be adding even more islands and land masses to the Siptah map. It is surrounded a lot by water. And I always just thought that was just down to an issue with scaling, but it does look like they left that on purpose so they can add more content to it. They also detail more changes to the healing system, where I can appreciate why they've done it, because it was too cheesy being able to eat just a stack of meat and pretty much heal yourself while you're in combat. Kind of have made it gone a little bit too far in only being able to heal with the healing wraps and potions. Particularly, I just didn't like the fact you couldn't interrupt the healing process. Even if a monster or creature was attacking you, you pretty much had to stand there and get attacked. But it does look like they're making changes. Food is going to increase your combat healing amount while you're out of combat, and they've got some changes to the potions and wraps as well. So yeah, much improved communication. Definitely something they should have maybe planned a little bit earlier to go inside with the release of Siptah. I still think they could have maybe sorted out their marketing a bit better and come up with a solution that meant console fans would be in the loop a little bit earlier. But there we go. Let me know what you think about the DLC. Are you enjoying it? I have got a server running for YouTube members and patrons only, mainly because we've got other content creators on there, so I don't want to have them being trolled. But if you do want to join and you're an OG ratbag, come join my Discord and say hello. Last Oasis are continuing their weekly content updates, and I can't applaud them enough for this. I think this is definitely the way for them to go now. Now they've got over through the first big few months of release in early access, it looks like they really are concentrating on giving content on a weekly basis. This week's update adds a bunch of brand new bombs, including cluster, healing and insects. Now they've had bombs in the game before, but they weren't really maybe used or utilised as much, or it definitely had some teething trouble. I don't think it become the big meta, but these look really good. I like the fact they're adding some new types or variations, and the insect bombs particularly look absolute bonkers. So once again, I keep saying it, I got to make some time and revisit Last Oasis very soon. So there we go guys, that is all the survival news you need to know this week. As always, the biggest and best survival news very first, and catch up on a Friday now on its set regular time in the evening. Laters, ratbags!